Hey friends, and welcome to Marriage Redesigned. I've got a teaching for you today that is going to help you navigate Thanksgiving while you are still walking through recovery from marital infidelity. This is a hard season and it really can be. We can enter into it saying, what do I even have to be thankful for? Well, you have a lot to be thankful for. And I want to help you with a Christ-centered guide for couples that are healing after infidelity or sexual betrayal. So I want you to know that the holidays have a way of magnifying everything, including joy, pain, stress, and relational tension. And for couples who are healing from betrayal, well, Thanksgiving can feel extremely overwhelming. New triggers, they start to surface, emotional landlines, they appear out of nowhere, and then family questions can even cut deeper. And the very idea of being festive can feel impossible. But I want you to hear me when I say this. Peace is still possible, even in the midst of pain that may still be lingering. Safety is still possible, even when trust is still fragile. You're still in the process of rebuilding trust. And connection is also still possible, even while you are still healing. And none of this happens by accident. It happens because you create a plan. So, this teaching will help you to approach Thanksgiving with clarity, compassion, with boundaries in place, trauma awareness, and you're going to have a united plan so you can walk into this holiday being grounded, prepared, and supported. So, first off, let's look at why a Thanksgiving plan matters while you're walking through your healing process after betrayal. Well, it's because betrayal changes everything. You as the one who's been betrayed, your nervous system is hypersensitive, especially around the holidays. You as the unfaithful may still be learning empathy, accountability. You're still walking through this transparency plan, maybe even stumbling through it at times, and you're learning emotional attunement. There are crowded rooms in your house or you're at another home, right? And it can feel unsafe. Well, shame triggers and all these other things can sabotage connection. Alcohol, stress, family pressure, they can magnify dysregulation. And then there's the old patterns that can sometimes resurface. And if they're not addressed quickly with intention, they can be disastrous. So, having a clear plan creates the safety that both of you desperately need. So, safety does not equal perfection. Okay, I want you to understand that. Safety doesn't equal perfection. Safety equals predictability, preparation, communication, and compassionate support. So, a Thanksgiving plan, having it in place, helps you to reduce your triggers, to prevent relational disrupts. It helps you to maintain emotional and physical safety. It protects sobriety and transparency, okay? Especially if sexual integrity is being rebuilt. It also helps to prevent being blindsided by family dynamics. You're going to stay connected as a team. You're going to reduce overwhelm and you're going to build trust through follow through. So, this is how you steward your healing well, having a plan in place. So, let's look at the 6 core elements for your Thanksgiving healing framework. All right. And you've got a downloadable. So, follow along in that downloadable so that you can see this with clarity. First off, your healing framework is going to identify triggers ahead of time. So, triggers after betrayal often include things like feeling ignored, feeling embarrassed around family, being asked about your relationship, seeing other couples acting, quote, normal, feeling abandoned in conversations. Maybe it's overwhelmed from noise and chaos, that fear of relapse or dishonesty. Maybe it's fears of being blindsided again. Maybe for you, D-Day happened around the holidays, right? You know some of the time frames, and it was around the holidays, around Thanksgiving. And for you, ooh, that's like creating some fears in you. Maybe it's, bringing up a lot for you in the memory center. Alcohol consumption can also be triggering, or exposure to old patterns of avoidance and or withdrawal, even isolation. Now, before Thanksgiving, it's important for you to ask questions like, what could trigger me at Thanksgiving? What could that be? It's important for you to pinpoint these things. Think this through very carefully. Talk about it with one another. What could trigger you? Ask your spouse that. It's important for you to understand one another's triggers. And then ask one another the question, okay, how can I support you through these moments? Okay, this is where you're working collectively together as a team. While you cannot prevent every trigger, you can prepare for them. And this is how you can do this. All right, here's your second step, okay? This is your second framework, your element in this framework. Establish safety boundaries. This is both internal and external. So, as the betrayed partner, safety might include for you things like no alcohol or very limited alcohol, staying in the same room when possible, having agreements around transparency. That transparency plan needs to be lived out for you. Being able to step outside when you need to just breathe and get away without being questioned about it. Maybe for you, if you're going to someone else's home during Thanksgiving, it's the ability to leave early if needed, or physical proximity for grounding. In other words, do I need some space or do I need to lean in? What does that look like for you? What are those boundaries for you? Now, for the one who's been unfaithful, safety for you includes things like no disappearing. Okay, you stay, do not isolate, do not withdraw, you stay right here. Okay, no phone secrecy. All right, we're not going to another room on the phone. We're not doing those things. No isolating with others. No defensiveness if asked for reassurance. If your spouse asks for reassurance during the holidays, okay, you do that. Don't get defensive. Stop the defensiveness. Being emotionally available and present needs to be there. You need to be emotionally available and present. Okay. And you need to follow through on agreed boundaries. You need to have these things in place. These things need to be established before the Thanksgiving holiday. What does that look like for you? Here's your third core element. Decide what topics are on and off limits for the both of you. Okay, so here are some good off limit topics at Thanksgiving. Rehashing the betrayal. Don't do that. Now's not the time to go there. Okay. Sex and intimacy concerns. That's a no-go. This is off limits. Accountability questions. Off limits right now. Family asking intrusive questions. That's a no-go. Relationship disagreements. Complaints about one another. How are things conversations? Okay, quote, how are things going? From conversations with family members that are unsafe. Okay. If they're not for your relationship, you shouldn't be engaging in those kind of conversations with them. Okay. These are things that you've got to decide. What are the off limit topics that you're not going to be discussing with other family members and even amongst yourself? What are some safe topics that can be discussed during the holidays? Food, kids, memories, gratitude, neutral updates. Okay. These are things that are safe. You want to stay around these kinds of conversations so that we're not triggered during the holidays. Now, one boundary sentence that you can use that will help with this is, quote, we're focusing on healing right now, so we're keeping things private amongst ourselves, but thank you so much for caring. You can use that if family members try to say, hey, how's it going in your recovery? Ooh, and they pull you aside, right? Mm-mm. This is what you need to tell them. Be united on this. Put this in your memory and use it while you are at Thanksgiving. All right, your fourth core element, set some alcohol boundaries. This is a non negotiable. Listen, alcohol, it increases emotional dysregulation. It also can be a conflict between the two of you. It can increase conflict. It also, it has a part to play with impulsivity, okay? It brings about shame. It can even cause relapse vulnerability, things of those natures. So alcohol increases all of that. Now, what you should agree upon is either a no alcohol during the holidays or a 1 to 2 drink max with full transparency. Okay? That's what needs to take place. And this needs to be agreed upon and it needs to be adhered to. Also, my husband and I actually do what's called a check in before having a drink. So he doesn't need to ask my permission. I'm not his mom. We're not one another's parents. But because of love and respect, my husband comes to me before he gets a drink and he says, just by the way, I want you to know I'm getting my first drink or my second drink. And if by chance we're there for a long period of time and he may want a third and it's been a while, then he'll come and say, hey, look, it's been a while. Do you mind if I have another? Right? Again, he's not asking permission. He's doing this out of love and respect. Consider that. Also, an immediate stop if you, as the betrayed, feels unsafe. You both agree that that would stop no more. Again, this is not about control. This is not about being each other's parent. It's not, about punishment. This is a safety stewardship, okay? This is exactly what that is. Your fifth core element is to create a trigger recovery plan for both of you. Okay? Remember, a trigger is not a failure, not by any means. A trigger is an invitation for connection, for compassion, and repair. You'll use the triggery recovery mini sheet that I have given you that goes along with this teaching. This is going to be a huge help for you. So utilize that. And then number 6 is to have a connection ritual before and after the holidays. So before Thanksgiving, before you enter into the day, pray together, share an affirmation with one another, do some grounding breathing together, review your plan. And then after Thanksgiving, have a gentle debrief with one another. How did the day go? Have a short walk. Bring some gratitude into it. Affirm the progress that you made. Not that you tried to walk in perfection, but you actually made it through the holiday and it was beautiful. This is how you rebuild trust through the holidays, one moment at a time. Now, I want you to know that going along with this, I've given you some resources that are going to really help you during this time period. Now, you've got the resource that is called the Couples Thanksgiving Planning Script. Now, this is some verbiage that you could use when you need to with your family. Okay. This is really helpful. Also, you've got a Thanksgiving conflict prevention checklist. This is where, you've reviewed your triggers, before the holidays. You've looked at your boundaries with one another. You've clarified transparency expectations, phone use. You've created an exit plan should you need one. You recognize that you are a team. During the holiday itself, during Thanksgiving, you've talked about how to stay safe with one another, physically connected with one another. You've talked about phones during Thanksgiving. You've talked about no disappearing, taking breaks when needed, supporting each other emotionally. And then after the holiday, like, what you are going to be doing later on that evening. Then you also have a downloadable that's called your one-page holiday conflict game plan. Now, in this one, it gives you your shared goal, your trigger list, your support needs, your alcohol agreement, your conversations for boundaries, your safety agreements, everything you need, your exit plan, all of that. Utilize this. It's a game changer. Also, you've got a family gathering survival checklist. Listen, I've given you everything for the holidays, okay? Because I know you need it. But this helps you to stay engaged in a healthy way. You also have a trigger recovery plan mini sheet because triggers may happen. What do you do? Well, I'm giving you all the things that you need to do about noticing the trigger, naming it, regulation, communication, reframing, re entering with care, all the things, okay? All of this, I want you to download it and I want you to walk through this together. Create your entire plan package now before Thanksgiving so that you can enjoy the holiday together, come out on the other side, and have a beautiful holiday weekend. So, this is my gift to you, and I hope that you implement it because if you do, you could have the most beautiful holiday even in the midst of your recovery. So, let me know how it works for you. I'd love to hear from you. I pray it's a beautiful holiday season. Britt and I are praying that it is one filled with gratitude, many, many Thanksgiving blessings from us to you, and we cannot wait to see you again soon. God bless.